I've got 5 critical king and pawn endgame principles that you need to understand that came out of a real game that I'm going to show you right now. And this was the position. And if you're wondering why there's a knight and a bishop on the board, well, I wanted to show you how we ended up in the king and pawn endgame and why I decided to go for that. Okay, so this was the position. I was playing as white. My knight was under attack, and I decided to go ahead for the trade. Okay, one interesting thing about the bishop here is that it's kind of trapped. You can't go here, you can't go here, you can't go here because of my knight. And so I do have the option to come here and hunt it down if I want, but black is attacking my knight. And I decided to go for that trade because I was happy with the resulting king and pawn ending. Okay, so I went here, allowed the capture, and I took the bishop. But now we have this position, right? And I needed to know, am I okay with this or not when I allowed that trade? And if not, I need to find a different move, okay? So my opponent played the move f5 here. And I would like you guys to pause and think carefully about what move you would play here if you were playing this as white, okay? My pawns are going forward, of course. Black's pawns are going this way, so there's no confusion there. What move do you play here as white? All right, well, if you had a chance to look at that, if you said king to b3, you would lose the game. If you said king to c2, you would win the game. And why is that the case? Well, let's go ahead and talk about these 5 principles. Number 1, passed pawns are extremely important. I mean, this is pretty obvious, right? But passed pawns can become queens very easily unless another piece stops them. And in a king and pawn ending, the only piece that can stop them would be the king because all the other pieces are gone, okay? And just as a reminder, a passed pawn means that there are no opponent's pawns that can capture you on the way or are blocking you from becoming a queen. Okay, so since there's no pawns here, here, or here, and this is a passed pawn, these are not passed pawns because my pawn would capture them if they tried to become queens. Okay, so they're not passed pawns. However, principle number 2 is that you can create passed pawns even if you don't currently have them, and that is what black is threatening to do right now. So if I just wasted a move and went in the corner, black could play f4, and he would be forcing a passed pawn because if I take, then this guy, Harry over here, is going to come all the way down. If I don't take and I push by, then Freddy's coming down. And what else can I do? Otherwise, he's going to take me, right? That's the issue. Okay, so black can create those passed pawns, which brings me to principle number 3 in king and pawn endings. The king position. So how well is the king positioned to deal with, in this game, passed pawns are the biggest thing, right? Well, black's king is very well placed. Look at this. I mean, I can't really get through. Black's king is right there. How about my king? Not really in a great spot, right? If you think about these guys coming down the board, I've got to go all the way across, okay? So that's the 3rd principle. These are the things that I want to be thinking about as I'm trying to make a decision on what move I should play, right? If I'm trying to decide between these 2 moves, this is the stuff I want to be thinking about. Principle number 4 is the idea of a king being tied up guarding passed pawns. And that is very, very important. And I actually want to jump over here for a second to this other board. And I want you to look at these pawns. Black's coming here. This king has to stay guarding these, otherwise they become a queen. If I try to just run over here with my king, he's just going to start pushing these and get a queen. I have to guard him. But why is that bad for me if I'm playing white in this position? Well, it allows the black's king to just come over here, gobble up all my pawns, and I can't do anything about it because I have to guard these. What if the pawns were like this instead? Well, now it's a different story, right? I need to take 2 moves, I capture the pawns, and I come over here. But I can't do that in this situation, right? Because if I try to bring my king up and take a pawn, this guy is gone. I can't catch him anymore. So I could never really use my king, right? These 2 pawns are just always going to sit there. Okay? So the idea of a king being tied up, and you might not understand why I'm saying that, but actually we're going to see how that kind of applies to these pawns here in just a second, okay? And then the final principle that you want to keep in mind is the triangle, or some people call it the box, but it's a shortcut. It's a quick way to calculate if you can catch a passed pawn, and I'm going to show you how that works in just a second. So first of all, let's actually go back and talk about the 2 moves here, okay? So king to b3 loses, king to c2 wins, right? Now, why does king b3 lose? Because you are not dealing with black's passed pawns that are about to become created. You're not putting your king where it needs to be to stop them. And black's going to simply play f4. And now what are you going to do? If you take, guess what? This guy is gone, and you're not going to be able to catch it. Okay? That's why king b3 loses. Now let's go back. King to c2, on the other hand, deals with the primary problem that we had in this position, which was stopping these passed pawns. Now, the triangle that I mentioned, let's say black would have played the move f4 here. And I'm trying to make a decision. What should I do? Can I get away with taking this pawn and still catch Mr. Harry over here? Well, one way to do it would be, okay, I take, he goes here, we go here, he goes here, I go here, he goes here, go here, he goes here, I go here. Okay, looks like I can catch him. Cool. But how long did that take me? That's a long time, right? This is a blitz game. I only have 50 seconds on the clock. I don't want to spend 30 seconds calculating that. So the quick way to do it would be takes, h5, draw the triangle like this. Can my king step into that triangle? Yes, I can. Right here, or here, or here. Really doesn't really matter. That means I can catch the pawn. It's a shortcut, right? As long as you can step into that triangle when it's your turn. So after he moves, you draw it. Then you calculate, can I step in? Yes, I can. You know you can catch the pawn. Super quick trick, okay? So, so that is what's going on here. This is critical. We need to stop this. Now, there's something else happening here as well. And let's actually keep going with the game. So my opponent played h5. I played king to d3. He played f4. He's trying to create that outside pass pawn. I captured it. He played h4. I played here. And now he plays king to c4. Now, what should I do? Well, if you had a chance to look at that, the move that I played, wait for it, is a4. Now, why would I play a move like a4? I am going back to this concept of locking down a king with your pawns. I am trying to use these pawns to lock down black's king. Because if I don't do anything about it, and I just allow him, he's going to take this. And even if I play a4, he's still going to be able to go here and capture my pawn. Now, it turns out that I could still win the game doing that because his king's going to, it takes so long. But I didn't want to have to mess with calculating that with only a few seconds on the clock. And so I played the simpler move a4. And what a4 does, it says, look, you can't go here. You can't go here. If you want to try to catch this guy, you either have to come back around this way or you have to come this way. But if you go there, guess what? You're too slow. You can't catch me. Same thing if you take my pawn here. This guy's he's going to go. So I essentially created this sort of blockade, if you will, where black's king has to just kind of sit there. Can't do anything, right? And that's just a good one to keep in mind. Even though the pawns are isolated, they're not connected, you can still use them to tie down a king if you do it in the right direction. I mean, if you do it in the right way, okay? So black played king here. I went over to get this pawn. He played here. What do you think I played? Well, if you said king to g4 to get this guy, you would be wrong. Now, again, I could still win only because black's king is so far away. But if I go for this line, I do allow black the option now to gobble up my pawns because this is no longer going to be a passed pawn. He's going to catch me. And then the king can come back over and start helping out. And I don't want to allow that. So instead of playing king to g4, I played the move c4. Now, why did I do that? Because wherever black's king decides to go to chase my pawns down, what am I going to do? That's correct. I'm going to push the other pawn to create the same setup that we saw before. If you would have went this way, I push this one. And you can't take me because I'm gone. I get a queen. And so again, I'm tying up the king, which is going to allow my king time later to go ahead and take these and win over here. Okay, so those are the principles. Pass pawns, extremely important. The creation of pass pawns is also important. The king position in relation to those pass pawns. Is a king tied down or not? And then the triangle as a quick trick to see if you can catch a pass pawn. Okay, those are the critical king and pawn principles that you need to be aware of. I hope this was helpful to you guys. Let me know your thoughts in the comments. And as always, stay sharp, play smart, and take care.